Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good Sunday afternoon. It is it's Saturday. Goodness, I don't want to skip Saturday. It's Saturday afternoon, August 26, 2023, 12:05 p.m. If I skip Saturday, goodness, we just lost the majority of the weekend right there. That would not be good. Latest earthquake activity 2.2 across the west coast in California. Noticing a little bit of uptick down here across the area of the Antarctica and the Australia plate boundary here. I'll keep that in check there in mind because New Zealand kind of sits within that zone of the plate boundary. Let's go ahead and check out California here first, see what we got going on up here around the Lake Almanor area. Been watching a swarm of movement up here on this newly named fault system or newly discovered fault system here underneath the lake. It's been off and on activity. In fact, they had a 5-pointer back here a few months ago, and just been kind of a little sequence of swarming out there recently underneath the lake. Not for sure what's going on, but obviously there's an active fault system there. Could have something to do with the lake level, although it's not really all that full. At least last time I was up there, it didn't look completely full. As far as the Cascadia goes, a little bit of movement from yesterday. That's a 2.4, 13 kilometers deep here at the southern end of the plate boundary, pretty close to the Mendocino Triple Point Junction. In this case, it would be the North American plate here, Pacific plate, and the Juan de Fuca plate over here, that triple point area where the plates meet. All right, further down south, San Francisco Bay Area seen a small amount of earthquake activity. Looks like from yesterday and today, very small quakes, nothing major. And of course up here, this is the Calpine hydrothermal operations in full swing, it looks like, around the Clear Lake volcanic field. As far as extreme Southern California goes, it looks like we're backing off slightly on earthquake activity. I don't think we've seen anything above the 2.5 threshold. Things look pretty calm for now. Really haven't seen any major uptick aside from that swarming area up here across the Ventura area following all of Hillary's rainfall amounts out here. So sometimes it can take a little while to soak down into the faults below, but I was almost convinced here that this was going to get active even at the surface levels. But we'll continue to watch that because that was a lot of rainfall that fell on Southern California there. All right, Mount St. Helens having a slight elevated activity event up here yesterday. I don't see anything popping up today. These are very small microquakes. We can double check that on the seismograph stations up there through the PNSN network. By the way, tremor last night or yesterday was about 89 epicenters, mostly here across the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. So Mount St. Helens, go check this out. Here's all the seismograph stations here within the red circle. And a little bit of activity, as noted here, mostly around the crater summit area and the southwestern flank of Mount St. Helens. And let's just go ahead and check this out, see if we got anything noteworthy to chat about. Earthquake activity is not rare at the Mount St. Helens area. It's always tends to see earthquake activity. So here's some of it. Looks like there's a little bit more as well, some very small ones, but got to remember, this activity is small in itself. The bigger ones that we're seeing on the graph are just 0.2 or so from yesterday. Where'd that go? Hold on a second here. I'm all over the place today. This is within the past, what do we got here? Past few hours, it looks like. Almost the past 12 hours. A little bit of smaller activity. Let me see what we got here from yesterday. Roughly about the same. It's some of these little quakes here that I'm watching, and today, as mentioned, it looks like there might be a little bit more here in the mix of the earthquake activity. A couple other smaller ones, but goodness, these are extremely small earthquakes. I wouldn't even think twice about this thing popping up being active. It's just very small quake activity there. And same around Mount Rainier. Mount Hood sometimes sees a little bit of earthquake activity. But until we start seeing bigger ones and obviously elevated tilt, then we can start to look more deeper into what's going on below the surface at the volcanoes. But for now, smaller earthquake activity. 1.7 outside of the Seattle area. That is on the Seattle Fault, 25 kilometers deep. Yellowstone National Park, got one earthquake here from yesterday. Let's just double check that, see what we have. Yellowstone overview showing a little bit of activity here. This was yesterday sometime. There's a handful of smaller quakes there. Overnight, looks like it dropped down even more. Not a whole lot of activity stirring up across the Yellowstone area. And that goes for the majority of the park out there. Things not too active. All right, 4 o'clock, or 4 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning had a 4.0 here around the border of Colorado and New Mexico, near Weston, Colorado, 4.2 kilometers below the surface. And I think we checked this area out before. I think there's some oil pumping operations up in this area. I can already see them. Sometimes it's hard to tell in these maps, right? But if we zoom in, those are what we're seeing out there. Little pumps out here, or tanks. This is not the best quality image here, but there's definitely all these little roads that lead back to oil fields and oil pumping operations, and I'm sure some type of wastewater disposal facilities as well out there. A little bit of activity stirring up out there today in that region. Same for Texas. A lot of oil fields getting hit out here today as well, outside of Midland. You got the what is that? Magutex oil field. A lot of oil fields out here. Goodness, take a look at that. This whole area is nothing but oil fields. Goodness. They hit a gold mine out here, it looks like. Of course, this is all part of the, I think it's part of the Permian Basin out here in this area of Texas. A lot of oil fields out there. So, obviously, we get some earthquakes. All right, further east, out here across the area of the Appalachian Mountains, one earthquake from yesterday, 1.9, nothing big going on there. South America region looks about the same as yesterday. Not a whole lot going on across this region. Awfully quiet. Was expecting this area to kick up last night, considering the movement across the South Sandwich Islands and the divergent boundaries out here. But it looks like that's our quiet area for now. Across the Mediterranean, cluster of quakes, very typical though, 2s and 3s. And the EMSC model here is going to show probably a little bit more than the last 24 hours, so that's why it looks like there's more earthquake activity than normal in this region, but nothing far as any major activity goes. A little bit of activity across the north of the Himalayas. It looks like a 4-pointer coming in. 4.6 China region earlier this morning, about 4 o'clock or so. Some further activity. Eastern Afghanistan, deeper region quakes here. With that 4.1, 209 kilometers deep. So it looks like a little activity trying to stir up out in this area of the world across the Himalayas. Haven't really seen any major large-scale movement out here across the area in a little while. Kind of goes for the same of the Kuro-Kamchatka Trench up here off the coast of Russia down into the Japan Trench. Been pretty quiet. Excuse me. A little bit of activity stretching up here across the Taiwan area. 4.8. That's on the northwestern side here of the Filipino plate. I believe that's shown up here on the USGS map right here. It's actually more in the Japan area than Taiwan. Kind of looked a little different here on the map. Oh, there we go. I was way off. All right, so activity stretching across this area, showing some obviously some uptick. Somewhat deeper activity here as well across this trench region. 4.8, 82 kilometers deep, and also Papua New Guinea area. We've shown some movement yesterday and a little bit this morning as well with a couple 4s. But far as any large-scale movement goes, it's holding off for now, but it did fill in slightly. I think we'll watch this area across the Solomon Islands and the Vanuatu area throughout the day today for some potential movement. Got a pretty deep earthquake here off the Fiji area. 4.4, 394 kilometers deep around this little horseshoe bend in the plate boundary. We do see quite a bit of large earthquake activity up here. Of course, this whole region's capable of producing some large damaging earthquakes, including the New Zealand area. There's that 4.2 from yesterday. That should pop off the globe by now. Hold on a second here. I guess maybe right. It wants to stick up there. See 4.2. It's not showing up on the USGS map, but it was. I don't want to bring that too far down. I don't think that's right. Let's bring it back up here a little bit. All right, so let's check out the GeoNet server, see what's going on here across the New Zealand area of GeoNet. Looks like a little bit of shaking in the last hour around the Wellington area. Some slight movement being felt. Nothing big, doesn't look like. Just a couple of folks reported some shaking. Let's see what's going on out here as far as earthquake activity goes. 3 hours ago, 2.3. Want to include all magnitudes. Maybe that 1 or 2 people that felt it, they may have felt a 1 or a 2.0. Some people are very sensitive when it comes to vibrational movement within the earth. 2.8 just to the south here. We're northwest of the French Pass area, 60 kilometers northwest of that area. Castle Point region, 1.9 2 hours ago. Not really seeing anything major up here on the chart, folks. 4.3 5 hours ago. That's south of the South Island region. Look at the earthquake drums here across the New Zealand area. A little bit smaller activity from last night. And I guess that's going to be the 4-pointer there about 5 hours ago, just barely showing up. USGS not picking up on it. That 4-pointer looks like it's right about here. Now it's possible though that was picking up this earthquake, 5.0, 2:40 in the morning. 2:40 in the morning. So that's roughly. Let's see here. That's my time. UTC time of 0940. Let's see when that earthquake was over here. Excuse me. This one right here. Well, doesn't look like that's same timestamp, even not even close to the UTC timestamp. So definitely looks like there was maybe some other earthquake activity out there. And that's why I'm saying we get this divergent boundary moving across the Antarctica area and the Australia plate here. That tends to strain the area up along the New Zealand region. So we'll just continue to watch that maybe for some movement. Deeper activity up north. Divergent boundary separation of the oceanic crust down here, creating strain across the New Zealand area. And USGS not showing that 4-pointer, so we'll continue to watch it, of course, and report back on it if need be. I do have a couple stations there, at least one in the New Zealand area that, where'd it go? It's right here, I guess. Oh, why do I have so many stations up here? Alright, we'll keep it like that for now. That way we keep New Zealand there in the mix. And Yellowstone. We have to adjust these throughout the day. Alright, the big island of Hawaii. See if anything major is going on out here. Slowing down slightly across the Kilauea volcano as far as earthquake swarming goes. Only a handful of smaller quakes this morning. Some 1s and low-grade 2s. Nothing major going on across that area as far as elevated movement. I mean, yes, we're looking at the possibility of the eruption here coming up soon, but I think it's backing off slightly due to the lack of earthquake activity. Kilauea volcano is currently not erupting. Most earthquake activity is at a depth of about 1 to 2 miles. That's 2 to 3 kilometers below the surface with no upward migration. So we're just kind of waiting on this, seeing what it wants to do. And then we'll go from there. Let's see, anything else going on as far as earthquake activity goes. Here's that movement down south from yesterday. Puerto Rico area, very minimal. All right, let's get into the weather. We're going to check out the potential hurricane status here for Florida coming up here in a minute. Looking at the severe weather potential, slight risk of a severe weather potential day out there across portions It looks like Illinois, Missouri area, or yeah, somewhere around there. It looks like just barely covering the Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee area. Illinois sits up here a little bit, not quite in that yellow. It is barely on the brown area, which is just 5% chance thunderstorm activity. But today, looks like the main threat's just going to be some damaging wind gusts. As far as tornado and hail threat goes, that's about it. There's really not a whole lot that's out there for severe weather. So down here we have Invest 93, a low pressure system, tropical low pressure system that's spinning up into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, whether it has enough time to get its act together over this very warm water here in the Gulf, by the way, and become into a major hurricane is probably not going to happen, but I do see it potentially kicking into a Category 1 before making landfall. We're going to watch this pretty closely. It looks like the tracks are still there for a landfall right around the Florida area. The current storm information here on Invest is 93L, 25 knots. That looks like maximum winds. Central pressure is 1006 MB, but that will be dropping as this thing gets together and starts rotating. It is currently still projected, according to the models here, to take a due north track right here into the Florida area and then getting caught back up, heading off towards the East Coast. That will bring a lot of rainfall out here. Probably all at once, but either way, it will bring quite a bit of rainfall for the folks out there in this area. The GFS models here with the potential low pressure minimum, or the center pressure of the hurricane or tropical storm, I think it'll be tropical storm here, is up here in the numbers, 993 MB. Now that's probably about as low as it's going to get before making its way into the land. But still, notice these spaghetti models here still showing that northward direction here for Invest 93. And the potential for the intensity, now these actually went up slightly from last night. Notice here, a couple models are trending towards a Category 3. Category 3, it looks like potentially before getting before reaching landfall. The hour model here, that's gonna have to watch that. If we start seeing more models trend upwards, then this is pointing towards it becoming more of a powerful hurricane than what the previous models are thinking. They always change, right? Can't really exactly predict what this hurricane's going to be. Or what this this mess of thunderstorm activity is going to turn into. Right now, it's just a large cluster of thunderstorm activity bubbling up out here over the warmer waters off Cancun area, Mexico region. And it's still, right now it looks like it's just, I see a little bit of rotation right here. You can kind of see this area being swept in here. So this is going to be, it looks like the area. So we'll continue to watch that. That will get its act together, according to some of these weather models here in the coming days, as Invest 93 just circulates a little bit, still continuing to be over that warmer water down here in the Gulf, and ultimately could very quickly organize into a hurricane. So we'll continue to watch that. Looks like maybe landfall right around the Tuesday or Wednesday time period there in Florida, then stretching up across the eastern portion of the country, bringing with it some rainfall. So we'll continue to watch that. This hurricane out here in the Atlantic, it's already forecasted to track northeast and away from land. But Invest 93 right now is the, what do we got spinning off the coast of California there? Looks like a low pressure system potentially. I'm okay with that. I could use some cooler weather. But yeah, 93. Invest 93. And that will be named, once it hits tropical storm status, Idalia. Absolutely beautiful name, Idalia. I like that. And yeah, we'll continue to update on this and keep a close eye on it. All right, space weather. Anything major going on for space weather? I really honestly don't think so. A couple sea flares overnight, low-grade sea flare. 90% chance for C flare, M flare at 20%, X flare 1%. Not a whole lot of potential. The only sunspot region I was watching was 3415. See what it looks like today. Not a whole lot. If anything, it looks like it's degrading, so to speak. Not looking quite as active as what it did last night. Noticing a couple different cores out here. But today's image looks like it's disappearing right before our eyes. So, there's definitely not a whole bunch out here as far as any story makers go. Yeah, there might be occasional C flare or whatnot, but these look fairly stable. We'll just continue to watch them though throughout the days ahead. Out on the far eastern limb where these sunspots are coming from, doesn't look like there's too much potential here for any further flaring. There's a new sunspot here, 3416. I kind of overlooked right down here, southeastern limb of the sun. But overall, not certain that that's going to be any major threat in the coming days. But here we are. I mean, we got to take what we get. Hopefully, we'll get things picking up here as we head towards solar maximum. It's about June 2025. So we have these little up and down periods. All right. I think that's about it, folks. Make sure you guys stay safe out there this weekend. And take a look at the live seismographs again. Pretty quiet for the most part. I'm not seeing anything popping up out there. Parkville, Japan, Chile, Hawaii. I got 2 Japans up here. Probably only need 1, so I'm going to get rid of some of these, or at least one of them. That way we can add New Zealand back onto the list here. Even Yellowstone needs to be up in there. We don't need that one, so there we go. All right, we'll catch you guys back here a little bit later tonight with the nightly update. Take care, folks. Have a good one. Stay safe.